Hello, hello, welcome back to the island. My name is Donald, aka the Scruffy Looking Gamer, and we got a ton of spoilers to take a look at, so let's get started. Alright, let's start with the newest Druak citizen, Mickey. She is a 1 and a green and a white, 7/9. Other Druak citizens you control get +2/+2, so that is the what we consider to be the Lord ability. At the end of your turn, you may pay one green or white to attach a citizen from your limbo pile to target Druak citizen you control. So this is very similar to the other cycle of lords for all the other factions. Hormaz probably being the most playable for the humans. He sees a one of sometimes in the blue-white aggro deck. Maybe some sideboard play out of there. Just the +2/+2 is kind of relevant against like Dukraka decks maybe, but really it's just there to pay the 2 to give something sidestep and finish the game. Mickey kind of fulfills the same thing. I'd say her ability is pretty good. At the end of your turn, you may attach a citizen from your limbo. I mean, that's what the Druaks want to do. So just one soul to attach seems pretty reasonable at this point. We still don't have a ton of information about attach. So from what we know, I think that's pretty good. But we'll see. The like I said, the other lords aren't really playable in constructed. They're pretty good in draft. I will say that they work really well in draft. But Mickey's just okay. She might be one of the best of the lords so far, but still not great. Next we have Zile. I'm going to go with Zile. Another Druak, 2 and a green-white for a 10/10. Whenever a citizen you control would die, attach it to a citizen you control instead. That's pretty good. And you can detach 2 citizens. Target Druak citizen you control cannot be blocked until end of turn. You may only use this ability twice per turn. Interesting. Twice per turn. Usually on abilities like this, we see you may only use this ability once per turn, or it only triggers once per turn. It's pretty cool that you can do that twice. I like that. This is a noble rarity, so that's good for a noble. Let's give it something a little bit better. So whenever a citizen you control would die, attach it instead. That ability, and it does not trigger die effects. That's really important. So if you have something like Leaf, when he dies, he says he draws 1. He would not in this case. But that's basically allowing you to attach stuff for free, which we just looked at Mickey that you had to pay to attach. So that effect could come in pretty handy if your opponent is cleaning your board up pretty easily with removal spells, or if you're attacking in just to get the attach triggers. I mean, that's something you could do. I think this deck still isn't fully put together. I still don't really know where we're trying to be with this. So whether or not this makes it in the final version, I don't know. But the becoming unblockable is a pretty big deal, and detaching 2 is not that much to ask. I don't think it seems like we're going to be attaching a good bit of stuff in this deck anyway. So Einar does a lot of work as an unblockable. So I think that ability could come in really handy. We also got to see the Druak Overlord. This is Crowley or Crawl. I'm not really sure, but I like Crowley, so I'm going with Crowley. It's the original Overlord treatment from Genesis with the 6 total soul cost. So 3, 2 green and a white for a 15/15 with sidestep. When it enters the island, you may reattach citizens from your citizens and or attach Druak citizens from your limbo pile to this citizen. So what that means is if you have citizens with you have Druak citizens with citizens already attached to them, when this enters, you can take those citizens that are attached, move them over to Crowley. Same goes for anything in your limbo pile. You can pull citizens from your limbo and attach them, and it doesn't matter. You can do 5 from your limbo and 1 from something you control, or vice versa. But it maxes out at 6. So whatever combination of that you want to do, up to a total of 6. And while this citizen has 6 or more attached citizens, it gains, when it attacks, attach target citizen and opponent controls to this citizen. So if you manage to get 6 citizens attached to it and you attack, just attack, you don't have to destroy an 11-year card or anything, just by attacking, you take one of their citizens and you attach it. So you're effectively removing it from the board. It's very similar to like Fiona's trigger, where Fiona would remove them back to their owner's soul row. This is, I guess, kind of the same in a way. It's not using a kill spell or an abolish spell, but you're literally taking them and attaching them to Crowley until they can do something about it, which about the only thing they could do would be remove Crowley at that point, I guess. So that's pretty cool already. You're getting kind of that removal. It's a 15-15 sidestep, so it's going to be pretty hard to block. And then on short time 2, you can detach 7 citizens to destroy target 11-year card. That's cool. Just straight up destroy an 11-year card. This, if all goes as planned, you attached 6 citizens to it when it entered. You took another one when it attacked, so you had 7. You hopefully got into short time 2, and you detach those 7 citizens and you destroy 11-year card. That does a lot. I mean, that's a lot on that card. Is it good? I don't know. It's at 6 soul cost and doesn't have eager. You're waiting till at the minimum probably turn 7 to do anything with this. And I don't know. I mean, the other overlords that were in similar situations just didn't get there. So I don't know that this is playable. In constructed. In draft, this is probably a bomb for sure. This is gonna do a lot of work. But I don't know. I don't think I just don't think it's as playable as some of the other stuff we've seen in the Druax, and that deck looks to be pretty aggressive anyway. So we'll have to wait and see on Crowley. Next we have Muriel, the Archmage, a Mystic Citizen, 3, a blue and a green, 14/11. And when Muriel enters the island, you may cast target spell from your limbo pile with a total soul cost of 3 or less without paying its soul cost. And then you abolish that spell on resolution. I just want to say, this is the text that Amara should have had all along. Once you cast the spell that Amara returned, you abolish it on resolution. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's move on. So, Muriel, 5 total soul cost investment. You cast a 3-cost spell. Say a Mortal Blow. Remove something on their board. Yeah, that's okay. Not too bad. Something maybe a little more powerful. Cast a Renewed Tenacity for free. So now you've paid soul cost of 5. You get back an additional 5, granted if you have one in your limbo. 5-cost citizen back onto the island. That's pretty sweet. Maybe you have a Muriel already in your limbo, so you cast Muriel. You cast your Renewed Tenacity for free. You get back second Muriel, and then you cast your Mortal Blow for free. So now you got 2 big citizens, and you used a Mortal Blow. I think Muriel has potential. In the current control deck, I think it could maybe slot in as a one of. I don't know that I don't know how that deck is going to change in Wicked Prophecy. We haven't seen a ton of control stuff yet added, so there is room to slot Muriel in, I think, but I think there's still a lot more to come as far as control style cards, so Muriel might get outclassed at that point. Speaking of control decks, next card we have is Shifting Loyalty. 2 hybrid blue or black, and it says it's a spell, instant speed, target a card in a limbo pile. Its owner reveals their hand, you abolish the card you targeted, and every other copy with the same name from the owner's limbo pile and hand. The owner draws a card for each card abolished from their hand this way. Now, this card is a very good anti-control card. We have issues currently with dealing with our opponent's limbo piles. The only thing we really have to do that is Midnight Meander, and it just targets 1 card at a time. It's not a lot of value. It works, but you're limited to 3 copies and then you're done. So Shifting Loyalty allows us to possibly hit multiple copies at once. Let's say there is a Moxie in the limbo pile of your opponent, and they happen to have another Moxie in hand. You cast this, you target the Moxie, they reveal their hand, you abolish both the one from their limbo and the one from their hand. Now, they get to draw 1 because you did abolish a card from their hand this way. But, I mean, when you're playing a aggro deck and you can abolish 2 Moxies, I think you're okay with them drawing a card. This is one of the sideboard techs that we needed to see to kind of combat control. I like that it's in the blue-black, so we can slot it into mini decks. We can slot it into those blue-white aggro decks. We can slot it into like a black-white aggro deck. So it does fulfill a lot of space that we've been missing for that limbo hate. And then, of course, Live the Dream, and they have, we'll use Moxie again. 2 Moxies in limbo, 1 in hand. You hit the 1 in limbo and they exile all 3 of them. They draw 1 card, but who cares? You just got the thing that shuts your entire deck down completely out. So I am really, really excited about this card. The next card is Henry, Repository Steward, Mystic Citizen, 2 and a green for an 8/8, and you can engage it to name a card type. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's the named type, you put it into your hand. So currently, as of the recording of this video, there are only 2 card types in Kryptik, spells or citizens. So you have a 50-50 chance of hitting the card that you name and putting it into your hand. So it's kind of a free draw 1. This is very similar to a card we already have, Aurora. If you're not familiar, Aurora was a powerhouse before her errata. Now she says when she attacks, you may choose a citizen or spell. Randomly look at a card in any single opponent's hand. If it matches the type selected, you draw 1. So kind of the same effect. You got to look at your opponent's hand, which was kind of cool. But you still basically were drawing a card for naming one of the 2 types. Aurora used to say you could just do that once per turn. So she just had to sit on the island and do that, which was busted. So busted. Now she's been errated to say that she has to attack to do that. Makes her a little bit unplayable, because a 7/9 on a 3 soul cost is not great for attacking. She does still see some sideboard play every now and then. But Henry doesn't just sit on the battlefield and get to do it, I guess, technically, but at the same time kind of does. So all you have to do is engage it to get that ability. So this is kind of the fixed Aurora. I think maybe what Aurora should have been in the first place. I like it. I like that we get that kind of effect put back in and a little more manageable card. You don't have to do this on your turn. So you can leave it up to block if you need to, and then if your opponent doesn't attack, then you can, on their end step, just go ahead and engage and attempt to draw that card. The downside of this, if you're playing like a control style deck, is say you reveal a counter spell, because you have to reveal the card to your opponent before you draw it, so they're going to know you have that counter in hand. It's not great, but drawing a card is always a good thing. So I think Henry will see some play. Maybe some sideboard play, maybe some main deck play, but I do think this card is playable. Next, we have Davey, Redeemed Scoundrel. Now, we saw Davey earlier in the week, but as the reveal for the full art box toppers. So we did not get to see his text box. Now we have his text. So he is 2 and 2 hybrid green or blue for a 10/10. He is eager, and when he attacks, you may cast target spell from your limbo pile with a total soul cost of 1 or less, without paying its soul cost until the end of turn. Abolish that spell on resolution. I just want to say once again, abolish that spell on resolution. Thank you. So, when you attack, this is similar to Muriel that we just saw earlier, where you get to cast a spell, but Muriel was immediately when she entered the island. So Davey, on attack, you may cast target spell from your limbo until the end of turn. So you don't have to play it right away. Let's say you want to target a Hecatomb, and you want to Hecatomb your Davey for whatever reason. You still get to attack, let the attack resolve with Davey, and then once combat is over, if then you want to use that Hecatomb on Davey, you can, because you have until the end of turn to use whatever spell you cast. So that's kind of cool that you have that. You have the option if you want to do that. Another great target is just to pull a capital punishment and take something out. There are a lot of good 1-cost spells to hit with Davey, and that is not a one-time trigger. It's on attack, so every single time he attacks, you can do that. And once again, they abolish once they resolve, so it's not like you can keep casting the same spell over and over and over. Thank you. But I still think that that's semi-playable. It's interesting to see Davey more of a control-ish style card this time around. I guess you could argue he was before, but he was more of a tempo play. He was good in the aggro decks to kind of tempo your opponent out. Genesis Davey happens to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite, citizen to slam on the island. I love playing Davey. So this one's cool. I think it sees play in some aspect. Not really sure where. Still got a lot of cards to go, so it's hard to say where at this point, but Davey is definitely a contender to see play at this point, I think. In what style deck, I don't know, but he'll be somewhere. All right, and rounding out our spoilers for today, we have a trio of spells. So first we have Gaia's Echo. It is focused for 3 hybrid blue or green. And you can place target citizen you don't control on the bottom of its owner's deck. This is basically a second copy of Mortal Blow. Once you put it on the bottom of their deck, highly unlikely they're getting it back. This takes care of things that you don't want, like, say, a Amara that you don't want to go to limbo, because then they're just going to cast it again with Zile or something like that. Put it on the bottom of their deck. There's not really a way to manipulate your deck at this point to get it back, so it's effectively a pretty permanent removal spell. I like this. I like this a lot. It kind of helps the control deck with a removal spell that's in their colors. They're having to kind of splash the black and the white. They really want to just be straight up blue-green if they can, But right now they're having to play all 4 colors. Maybe now it can streamline a little bit more into just blue-green. But this is a fantastic removal spell. Next card is Tainted Messenger. This is 1, a black and a white, instant speed. Your opponent's citizens lose all abilities until end of turn. This is phenomenal. This is basically Trivialize on steroids. Right now, with Trivialize, you have to just target the one citizen that is causing you the most harm with their ability, but there's always multiple targets. It's never just one. So Tainted Messenger takes care of all of that. Let's say you're playing blue-white aggro and your opponent has stacked 3 Moxies on the board. If you've played blue-white aggro and you've played an opponent that plays green, you've encountered this scenario. So Tainted Messenger, they all lose that ability. You swing in with your entire board. Granted, blue-white aggro doesn't play a lot of stuff to get black in their soul row easily, but there are things. I mean, right now you got Tribulation. You can drop a capital punishment if you absolutely need to. There are cards to get that black in there, and I think that this is worth bringing in now the sideboard in that deck for the Moxie matchup. It's interesting to see. I'd be interested to see how this card slots in, because I think it is very, very strong. And the last card we have is Undercurrent Ambush. 1, a white and a blue. You can disengage target citizen you control, and it can attack an additional time this turn. And then on short time 3, that citizen cannot die by combat damage this turn. So this card, speaking of blue-white aggro, is just a finisher if you need it. Let's say you attacked with your Einar. They had one 11-year card left. Attack with Einar, he's unblockable. And then you play this, or you disengage Einar, and then you attack again, unblockable, finish him off. That's great. That basically gives you 2 copies of whatever citizen you need. You have a Fiona on board, and there's just 2 things that you need to get rid of on their board. You attack with Fiona, destroy that 11-year card, push whatever you need to push back to their soul row. You play Undercurrent Ambush, and you attack with Fiona again. That's devastating. If you've ever played against 2 Fionas, it's devastating. So Undercurrent Ambush, I think, is a fantastic card. Definitely going to see play. Probably in some number in the blue-white aggro deck. Maybe in the sideboard. Maybe 1 in the main and a couple copies in the sideboard. But I think it definitely has potential to be in that deck. And the fact that the citizen can't die by combat is kind of irrelevant. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you're not... If they're going to block, then you're not attacking in. I mean, if you're attacking in to a 9/9 with your Cleo, doesn't matter. You didn't need to attack again anyway, because nothing's going to happen. But just the additional attack, I think, is worth it. All right, well, that is it. A lot of stuff today. This was a pretty long video, so if you're still around, thank you. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button so that we can get up to 100 subs. We're going to do a giveaway at 100 for the box topper Kickstarter of Fionn. So you definitely want to get subscribed so that we can hit that goal and you can get some free stuff. So until next time, we'll see you on the island.